Hey guys, I think I'm live. I had some technical issues on the first attempt. Here for some tactics, Miss Keck, I see you in the chat. Hello. You're gonna eat in a minute. Okay. Then maybe you have time to see the warm-up with the Puzzle Rush. So I'm gonna do Puzzle Rush and Miss Keck. I don't know why I keep saying Miss Keck. I don't know if that's the right spelling, the right pronouncing of your name. It is okay. Okay. How do you say Michkek? Mick? Mike? Mikwi? Mikke? Hey Malek. Good morning. I'm ready for some tactics. I have coffee with my Lichess mug, of course. And okay, let's start with warming up with Puzzle Rush. Okay, you see the full board, perfect. So far, so good. Yeah, keep keep giving me checkmating one, please. Oh. Okay. Today, not. This check is interesting, but this is better. Oh no, he takes with check. Oh, I thought I had mate in the next move. Should have spent more time. That's the problem with Puzzle Rush. That's why I don't like it. What's going on here? Take, two. It's a free piece. Where's this queen going? There. Nice. Oh, okay. How can I promote? I has too many pawns. So probably better is this. Queen h4, h5. Oh, what checkmating one? Okay, I'm too sleepy. Dun, 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 dun. Queen a4 is the move that tempts me, but of course that's not the solution. And F Chess, hey, thanks for the follow. Hope you like the stream. Check, check, and mate. My turn. So if I take here, what's the material count in the end? I'm a piece up, right? Too slow. I'm too slow. What if I take it? The knight is trapped. That queen has to be trapped. But it's not. Bishop e3, queen takes f4, queen a5, and it's not trapped. This was a terrible session. This was a terrible session, guys. I'm too sleepy for this. I need real tactics, not this puzzle trash. Let's go to the tactics. Now I can spend all the time on each tactic. This is what I want. Alright, let's see if you can see the full board. I think you can. Let's start. And perfect. Okay, what do we have here? We have a position where we're white, we have the bishop pair against the rook, that's perfect, we have a pawn h6 that I hope it will be helpful. Even this could be helpful for some checkmate ideas. But the problem is black is threatening g2 check, followed by promoting to a queen. So the first logical move would be bishop here. The other candidate move, of course, are the checks. Also the sacrifice, that also stops g2. But it would be, I mean, to play for the draw, could be, right? Bishop takes g3 followed by king takes f2. Could be a draw. I don't think we can win them. Especially without this bishop, we're never going to promote these pawns. So, first logical move would be bishop h3, but of course we need to consider the checks too. And this check too. Is there any checkmate net here? Let me see, check, if he goes there, check, there. We cannot allow promotion, that's because promotion comes with checkmate. So we cannot go like check, and if he goes here, which is of course not the way, check here and push, because g2 check, king takes is the only logical. The other one leads to checkmate too. And we're checkmated. Even though our bishop is controlling h3, okay, he will not have rook h3 checkmate, but he will have queen e2 followed by rook f1 checkmate. So we cannot allow promotion. So I don't think a series of checks will help us here. And again, I don't think we're gonna, if we want to draw, I think bishop takes g3 is probably the way to draw. So I don't expect like doing a series of checks and be stalemated. I don't think that could be it either. Yeah, this has to draw. That has to draw. So Huh. Any ideas? Bishop g4, also a move I could consider over the board. No, bishop g4 loses immediately, right? g2 check. Bishop g4 does not control the promotion square, nor does check, so we lose. G2 check, and next move is pawn take, pawn promotes with check and and mates and checkmate coming. Yeah, I cannot go. It's a pity. I have no time to go bishop g4 or bishop b7, but yeah, g2 just kills us. G2 just kills us. So I think the choice is between these 4 moves. There's no other move that makes sense. Either bishop takes g3, which would be playing for the draw, but maybe yes, the evaluation of the position is that we need to draw, or check on e6, or check on h7, or okay, the check on e6 is interesting. Is it not? I mean, check on h7 wouldn't make much sense because we don't have a check on f5. So it would only be useful if we're trying to play for the draw. Oh, bishop takes g3. Oh, I see some patterns too. Thanks for pointing that out. That rook might be in trouble. That rook might actually be in trouble now. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so we finally found a move that makes sense. Not to go for the draw. Okay, but we might need to start with a check, or even with this check. So to put the king on h7, right? Or maybe not. Maybe. So okay, this is going to be interesting. So let's see the pattern. How the pattern goes. After rook takes, king takes f2. The rook is not having a lot of squares, because our pawns are controlling the dark squares, all of them, and our king. So it's all about the light squares. So let's say that the direct approach takes, what else? The rook has this square, and this square, and this square, right? Now, if we didn't check yet, this square is not available. So let's say the king is still on g8. We might be able to promote by using the fact that the rook has to be either on g6 or on d3. For example, playing h7 check, king g7. That's why I think we need to do the checks first. I think we need, before sacrificing on g3, we will need this kind of check here to force the king to be either on h7 or on g8 at some point. So the problem is, if the king is on h7, for example, there's no problem on b3 anymore, right? So what's the proper move order here? Well, I think the most tempting move for me is bishop e6. I think it's the most forcing, because, for example, if king f8, I think he loses. if king f8, we go bishop check, king e8 only move, then we sack on g3. And then after he takes, we promote. We're going to promote. No way to stop it. There's no rook g1, rook h1 because we have an extra pawn on the h file. So I think bishop e6 forces him to either h8 or h7. So I think bishop e6 check is the most promising move to start with. And then let's say he goes to h8. Oh, then our bishop is ideal. Then our bishop is ideal because it's controlling b3 and g8. So after we force the king to h7, we take on g3, right? And if he takes king takes f2, he has no squares. No squares because we're controlling g8 and b3, and we have the check or the ping on f5. So I think that's it. With checks, force him to h7, being our bishop on e6, then we sacrifice on g3. That's it, right? But our pawn still on h6, controlling g7. That is important. Yeah. Beautiful puzzle. Yay! This puzzle might be in the domination book, maybe. The Domination Studies by Kasparian. Let me see. Maybe I can find that puzzle. Because that should be two bishops versus rook. Trapping the rook, two minor pieces trap rook. Pages from 162 to 185. Okay. Bishop and knight. No, let me try. Power of the bishop's pair. Yeah. This is bishop and knight, bishop and knight, bishop and knight. Two knights. Two bishops trap rook. Okay, okay. We have similar puzzles, similar positions, but I think not that one. Hey Bobby. Yeah, we don't have that one. Nice. Road to 3000. Yes. So there are like from 801 to 842. So there are 42 positions here with two bishops dominating a rook, but none of that is this specific position. Ah, cool. Hey Karmar. How many puzzles left? We did only this one, I think. Yeah, we only did this one. So 4 puzzles left. Let me show you the puzzle. It was beautiful. It started in this position. And because black is threatening g2 check, we had 4 candidate moves. Either this check. How's that book called? This book is called Domination in 2545 Endgame Studies by the great Kasparian. You should be studying. Okay, then you study. Okay, we had candidate moves the checks, taking on g3, and bishop h3. And I was saying for a moment that bishop takes g3 would be a good way to make a draw in this position, but then we realized actually the rook has not a lot of squares from g3 because our pawns are controlling all the dark squares, So after king takes f2, the rook would be funny. How many pages? A lot. I mean, 2,500 puzzles. 530 pages. So we found the right way. Bishop e6, check first. King went to h8, obviously, because the worst square is h7, and that's where we're going to force the king to go. If king here, we would just go check, force him out, take, and then promote the pawn, which couldn't be stopped because rook g1, rook h1 doesn't work because we have an extra pawn on the h file. So the king went to h8. Then we check to force him to h7, and then we take the pawn. And now the rook is out of squares, basically. So that was good. That was good. So those are the squares where it would be immediately captured, and of course the remaining two we're gonna have bishop f5. So this is how the puzzle ended. Okay, let's go with the next one. Nice. I love endgames. That king is called to be checkmated. If only this pawn wasn't pinned. The problem is to distract this rook with a move like such as this one. Then he will have this, right? So it's not immediately a checkmate in two, but it's asking for something like that. Thinking stuff like this too might be funny. I mean, our rook is really out of play now, so maybe we can use it to create some new avenues. So rook takes, for example, is a move. He would have to take with queen, probably. Well, he can take with pawn, and nothing wrong with that, right? If we take this rook, it's not the end of the world for white either. Anyway, this check is interesting, but take f6 check, king h4. If only we could force this move first. Queen on f6 also mates. Yeah, or queen here. I mean, we have, if we grab the queen and drop it on a random square, which are the interesting squares, these two. This probably not. This is also interesting. It is interesting. Maybe not checkmate yet, but it is really interesting. Also maybe here. Okay, another move that is interesting to start with is rook f1, because, wow, okay, 3 months in a row, nice, thanks for the subscription, man. Welcome. Let me remind you, I need to reveal the perks, but let me remind you, you have access to perks. 3 months in a row, probably sub 3, I don't know. Although sub 3 was intended for tier 3. But yeah, whatever, at least sub 2. I don't know. You have you have access to the perks. You have all the information there. Okay, rook f1 is probably the one that I like the most because white has no checks, and that rook gets to play a lot from f1, right? So rook f1, where is this queen going? Because the queen has to move. Oh, well, he has a check. He has a check we need to consider, of course. And it might be a good one. Because then he can probably check us almost forever. and we need to be careful not to fall for a fork. Maybe we don't fall for a fork, but we need to calculate queen b7, queen b3. It's complicated. It's complicated. So let me calculate for a moment rook f1. Rook f1, he probably needs to defend a5, I think, because otherwise queen a5 will be really strong once we have access to f4, right? So rook f1, queen d5, let's say, attacking f7, and then we have queen g3. Aha, so yeah, rook f1, and this queen needs to defend g3, needs to defend the a5 threat. So for example, rook f1, if the queen keeps an eye on g3, I don't know how, let's say queen b3 to attack f7 at least, then queen a5 check. Now then he takes. Then he takes. We're not checkmating. We're not checkmating because the king can escape to g3. So queen a5 would be terrible. But rook f1, queen b3. Rook takes f4 is a move. It is too much. It is too much. Huh. Rook takes f7 is a big threat for a draw. Yeah, it seems it is annoying. It seems it is annoying. So that might... Oh, look at that move. Okay, look at this move. I remember at the beginning I said, okay, what are nice squares for our queen? And I said these squares over here. And I also said these two could be potentially interesting. So why not queen e6? I mean, queen e6, yeah, we give a check. I mean, we allow a check, but once we're out of checks, we're threatening queen f5. I guess queen e5 still is a defense. Queen e5 still good for white, right? Huh. Okay, the other way to access here without allowing that is queen a1. It would be funny if queen a1 is the right solution, but rook takes f7 again. Yeah, rook takes f7 is really annoying. So what are the moves I do have to prevent rook? I mean, this threatens checkmating 1 on f6 as well as other moves. But what's the deal with rook take? I have two options. Either try to stop rook f7 or think what is wrong with it and stop it. For example, after king takes f7, he has checks here and here, right? So, for example, a first move could be queen b1. Oh, but then he has check here too. It's hard to stop all the checks he's gonna have. Is there a way to prevent these 3 checks with the queen after king takes f7? I cannot go to b5. Hmm. Okay, now let's try to prevent rook takes f7. We have queen e6, which allows queen c3 check, followed by queen e5, but still not clear to me. Still not clear to me. What else do we have? We have, yeah, to queen e8, which feels kind of ugh. But okay, queen e8 has a point. It has access to d8, and it defends f7. Right? So queen e8 is another move I would add to the candidate list, because then after a check, I can even go down to unpin myself. But I have a bad feeling about that to be a good move. Like queen d8 can be met with queen f6, yeah. And then we don't have checks with a rook, it's out of play. This is a tough one, isn't it? Let's see this line again. Queen e6, queen c3 check, king h7, queen e5. Do I have something there? Oh yeah, oh, almost have queen g4, almost. I think start with rook f1. Yeah, but rook f1 is really strong, except rook takes f7. I have to be very careful to calculate whether we have a way out of the checks. That would be nice to have rook on g1. So maybe let's start with rook g1. But again, rook g1 has the same problem. I need to be sure. I need to be sure if I am escaping the checks. So let's try to calculate the checks. So he has 3 checks to consider, and I can block with queen in all of them, but I'm not sure if I should. And a rook is always hanging, either on g1 or on f1. It's hanging, so I need to be careful with all the diagonal checks. So, queen e7 is check. So he cannot check us on b7, right? So okay, let's try to make the strongest move we found work. Because rook f1 is, I think, the strongest. The queen has to defend many things. So rook f1, rook takes f7 check, king takes f7. He cannot check on b7 because queen e7 check and we win. Yes. So he has to check on d5 or b3. Let's say queen d5 makes sense. Queen e6, and he has no more checks except on b7, which doesn't work. If queen b3, the same, right? If queen b3 check, queen e6, and he has no more checks except queen b7. So maybe it's actually simpler than we thought. Yeah, with our king on f7, we're gonna have queen e6, and we're gonna be a rook up. He will not have a series of checks. And if he has to do a slow move, a no check move, then we just bring a rook maybe to help also defending. Yeah. So both rook f1, rook g1 could potentially be the solution. So rook f1, if he cannot sack, he will have to play something slow, like queen b3, something that keeps an eye on g3, right? So how do we win there? I thought rook takes f4, but it seems too crazy to work. So no rook takes f4. Queen a5 doesn't work. H4 doesn't really work. We need to check. Be aggressive. Rook f1 and queen e6. Well, after queen b3 I cannot go queen e6. Rook f1, queen b3. Maybe rook g1 is stronger than rook f1. But at least now that I see rook f7 is not working for white with our queen on the e-file, I'm more comfortable to do rook moves. Even rook takes h3, which in that case it's a stupid move, because then he would go for rook takes f7 and have a winning endgame, king and pawn endgame. So rook g1, rook f1. Let's see rook g1 for a second. Rook g1. Might not have a threat. Rook g1 might not have a threat. Or maybe it has the threat of queen e6. That would be too deep of a move. I don't know. Okay, so the problem with this move is the queen no longer has queen e6, queen e7. So queen a1, no. But queen e6, no. What did I want to do? Let's move the rook. So, sacrificing the rook on g2, does it work for something? I mean, is that a threat? After queen takes g2, what do I have? If I check. If I takes check. It would be nice to force the pawn to h4 again. Check. I think I'm gonna go with calculating this rook f1 again. Rook f1, queen e6. Ay. And then queen d8. Queen e8. Can you calculate rook g1? Yes, I can. The problem is I don't know what the threat is, so I see many moves for white. Okay, let's start with the queen has to defend g2, of course. Let's start with, I don't know, rook. No. What can white do? Maybe white is in Suksan after rook g1. Let's say a random move like a4. The threat is queen e6. I thought it could be queen e6, but I'm not sure. Okay, let's say a4, queen e6, queen c3 checking h7. And yeah, queen c3 check is stupid because now we have many problems. So rook g1 overloads white queen, g2, g3, e6, too many squares. Why is e6 important? So let's say a4, queen e6. We're threatening this checkmate. Hey Joel, the problem with queen a1 is we lose control over the e file, and therefore I think white has rook takes f7 and perpetual checks ideas. With the queen on e1, white does not have that. For example, after rook g1, rook takes f7, we take, and queen b7 is always met with queen e7 check. So, and any checks on the diagonal is met with queen e6, where the only check left is queen b7 check, replied with queen e7 check. So yeah, queen a1 is really interesting, but does not quite solve the problem of rook takes f7, while keeping the queen here does. So rook g1. Yeah, queen a5. That was the first move that we all looked at, Joel. So rook g1, and if black does something stupid, we go queen e6, and that seems totally crashing because we have queen f6 checkmate, very hard to stop. And also queen f5 if necessary. So after rook g1, what can white do? Tough situation for white now. Unless... yeah, the king cannot move. And queen e6 is really strong threat. What about... I don't think queen e6 works. We don't have rook takes g2 anymore. What? I'm not following you, Malek. I can simply do what I did with queen e6 line. Queen c3 check followed by queen e5. In which position are you talking about? After g4. Now I'm following you. After g4, there's no more rook takes g2 threat, but there's rook takes g4 threat, right? There's rook takes g4. So the line you're saying, rook g1, g4, queen e6, queen c3 check, king here, queen e5 doesn't work because rook takes g4 check, pawn takes, queen takes g4 checkmate. Oh no, it's not checkmate. Oh, yeah. It's not checkmate, you're right. Okay, let's try to see that line. La Toca, thanks for the follow. La Toca. So okay, let's have a look at that. Rook g1, g4. g4 trapping the king a bit more, but maybe it works for white. So should we take on g4 instead of going... g4 feels so bad. g4 feels so suspicious. Pawn takes, then pawn takes, what else? I mean, if we take and he takes, we can go back to h1, threatening checkmate on h4. Maybe f5. But then we should win the queen at least. Queen d2, queen c1. So okay, rook g1, g4, pawn takes. So I'm not sacrificing anything, so rook takes f7 still doesn't work. And still no checks for white, so takes. Yeah, otherwise he's toasted. So takes, and then we go back to h1, and we have the threat of queen h4 mate, but also the threat of queen a5 check. Rook g1, f5. Why not f5? Rook g1, f5. Interesting, but that opens a new line for the attack, like queen d2 maybe, or queen c1. Okay, I need to calculate in order. I'm feeling this is a mess now. This is a mess now. So let's go rook g1, g4 first. Let's try to solve this one first. If I take, he has to take, I think. And then and then if I go rook h1, oh wait, we have a problem there. We have a problem there. Rook g1, g4, takes, rook back to h1. He has rook takes f7, king takes f7, queen d5 check, and we can't play queen e6 because our rook is hanging. Although we can because then we have queen f5, queen h5, and we take the queen. Okay, so still working, still working. Still working. Nice. Okay, so yeah, we can take. After rook g1, g4, we can take and go back to h1. And he can't take on f7 yet. So hey, Miss Kek, that's not checkmate. After f6, king h4. And we lost all of our material also. So after takes rook back to h1, the only way to stop queen h4 is f5, right? F5, then at least queen h4 followed by king f4, g5 check. Okay, that's not the best line. Okay, after f5, queen c1 check or queen d2 check. Let's say queen d2 check, queen f4 only move, queen d8 check, f6 only move, queen takes f6 checkmate. Okay, so that line there's a forced checkmate. So after rook g1, g4 doesn't work, then let's see the other move that was suggested, f5. That feels wrong too. And I think I might have the same idea. Queen d2 check followed by queen d8 check. Oh no, the queen is on f4. I calculated wrong. I calculated wrong the other line. Oh shoot. Okay, takes, and f5. Rook back to h1, I mean, and f5. Must be winning for black. I wouldn't even calculate lines after f5. Must be winning. Yeah. I have the same feeling that king is too exposed. It must be winning. But I would prefer to have it all solved. Evelyn, in that line there's f6. Okay, let's put that line. Rook g1, f5, queen d2 check, queen f4, queen d8 check, there's f6 check there. There's f6 check there. Hey, Miskek, your line was losing. Yeah. Miskek, if I remember correctly, your line was rook takes h3, queen takes, which is not the only move. Queen a5 check, rook takes, f6 check, which is not checkmate. King h4, and we lost rook and queen, and we're not checkmating. But yeah, it's the funniest line. No, but the queen a5 idea is nice, except the only way to make it work would be with the pawn already on h4. That's why I was trying to do moves that force that. Queen c1 threatens both queen c5 and rook f1, but refuted by rook takes f7. Yeah, I think every line that doesn't keep the queen on the e file allows rook takes f7. So I think rook g1. I don't see how white saves the game after rook g1. Well, let's calculate f5. I mean, I'm gonna play rook g1, but let's first, just to be sure, let's calculate f5, because f5 has some tricks of f6 check against checks on d8. The problem is, yeah, with the pawn on g2, not on g1, this check cannot be met by queen f4. So queen d2 check, king must go to h4. Then we have queen d4 check, at least, winning the rook, right? So yeah, I guess f5 doesn't really work there. If only it could work against this, takes, rook back to h1, f5 there. Oh, Malek, isn't that the line I said before, after queen takes h1, there's queen f5, queen h5, and we win the queen. Our queen is on e6. So after... So what is the idea of rook g1? Say rook g1, rook b7. Queen e6 is the idea. Rook g1, the main threat is queen e6. So for example, rook b7, queen e6. And we're threatening queen f6 mate. And we're threatening queen f5 check in some lines. And maybe I'm muting you when I'm calculating. Oh yeah, okay. No, we're mating on g7, not winning queen. Okay, whatever, but I stopped calculating when I saw we won the queen. There's rook takes g2, okay, in that line. If you don't play g4, every time the queen leaves f3, there's rook takes g2, and then if king h4, rook g4 with checkmate. Or worse, I mean, still not checkmate, but it's gonna be checkmate. Rook g4 check, you cannot take because it's checkmate, so king... Oh yeah, it's checkmate. The pawn h3 is white's pawn. Yeah, rook g4 is mate. Jay Rosenbach, thanks for the follow. Yeah, if the queen leaves the defense of g2, that's why in rook g1 we were calculating g4 to prevent that. Okay, I'm gonna play rook g1, guys. I think we're all agreeing more or less that rook g1 has to be the first move, and g4 has been played, of course. And now we thought takes, rook back to h1, and we didn't see a good defense for white. Queen h4 is a checkmate threat. There are no stalemate tricks because there's a pawn left here. so he will not sacrifice queen and rook and have be stalemated. Also pawn on f4. So takes and rook back to h1 is my line to go. Hey, why are men in my shoes? Good afternoon. Is there anything better? Is there anything better than that? f5. Okay, let's see how the critical line is f5, of course, the one that stops the checkmate. Let's see how are we going to win there. Is this a game or tactics training? This is tactics training. Okay, so after f5, I thought what did I think? Can't remember now the line. Queen e6 also worth checking for black. Yeah, but queen e6 now can be met with queen c3 to e5. Because then rook takes g4 is not checkmate. I thought it was checkmate at the first glance, but it's not because there's king f6. And we don't have checkmate there, so so I have to be careful before playing something like that. Okay, I'm mixing some lines in my head right now. h4 is also an interesting move in this position, isn't it? h4? No, it's not. Okay, forget what I said. Pawn takes, and then instead of rook h1, we have some other ideas too. But yeah, rook h1 threatens two different checkmates, queen h4 and queen a5. So hg and and then f5. Then queen d2 check, only move queen f4. And then queen a5. Nah, that would be too much. But that would be beautiful. Yeah, but he has plenty of moves there. That's a problem. So takes, rook back to h1, f5. If queen d2, queen f4. Rook h5 takes. Whoa, Dionut, hey, thanks for the raid. Welcome, guys. I hope you had a great stream. It must be your line just how to refute f5. Yeah, it must be takes, but how to refute f5? I guess rook h4 rather than queen d2. Hey Dianut, how was your stream? Forcing king to go to the center. Rook h4, what? So you mean like after, oopsie, takes, rook to h1, f5, rook h5, I'm assuming you say. Then pawn takes. Then queen g1 check. No, I don't believe that line. I don't believe that line. So takes. Ah, you meant queen h4. Okay, takes, rook h1, f5, queen h4, king f4. We don't need to calculate further. We need to calculate further because the king was in a stalemate, in a checkmate net, and it's no longer there. I mean, we're a pawn down. I need to calculate further to be sure that that line can work. So let's calculate a bit. Queen h6 or what? Dio always ends his stream when I tune in. No, terrible, Chess Japan. Once king goes to the center, we're picking white's rook. How? How do you pick that rook? Queen h6, g5. I don't want to be checkmated. Okay, g5, I guess rook h4. So let's say queen h6, king e4, rook e1, king d5, and the king is naked. Yeah, but we're only playing with. I mean, after king d5, I don't even see checks for us. White's pieces are in good position. Black's pieces are not. I mean, that's clear to me. It's not clear to me, Malek. Takes. Queen, sorry, not queen h4. Rook h1, f5, queen h4, king f4, queen h6 check, king d5. I only have one check. Rook e1 check, king d5. I have no checks. And white is playing f6 check. And I have no checks. Yeah, the king is in the center, but look at white's pieces and black's pieces. Black's pieces are terrible. My pawn on f7 is pinned. My queen is on h6 doing nothing. My rook is on e1 and has no check. Queen e7, nice. No, but queen a5, interesting. Queen h6 is dumb. Yeah, I know it's dumb. Queen h2 check. Queen h2 check, interesting. He would go back to g5, I guess. Ah, no, then queen h6 is mate. Oh, queen h2, interesting. Then king e4, rook e1. Okay, that's a line that's worth looking at. King d3, queen d6 check. King c2, queen c5 check, king d2. Then queen c1 check, king d3. Okay, yeah, now I like that line. This puzzle is too easy, rar. Yeah, it is easy. Okay, I like that line with queen h2 check. Yeah. So queen h4 check, king f4, queen h2 check. If king e3, I mean king d3, king e4 is the same, right? Can you show with arrows? Okay, I'll try. So takes. Rook h1, f5, queen h4 check, king f4, queen h2 check, king e3, rook e1 check, king d3, queen d6 check, king c2, queen c5 check, forking rook. Then he hits a rook. I cannot take the rook. So queen c1 check, king d3, rook d1 check. I think should be winning. After f4, rook h2 is an idea. After f5, you mean? After takes, oopsie. Takes, rook h1, f5. Rook h2 is an idea? No, he's threatening f6, okay. Agreed, let's go for it. Rawr. Okay, let's go for it. I'm kind of, you know, this moment I'm like, oh, maybe there's something even stronger and we're missing it. I mean, I like pawn takes pawn, but are we missing something? Like some of these crazy moves that might work? No, right? There's nothing stronger than mate. No, but you know, in chess.com, if you have a mate in 10 and a mate in 7, and if you go for the mate in 10, you fail the puzzle. So that's what I'm concerned about, because this king seems so terrible that I'm thinking there might be something stronger than or faster than we're missing. Connected with the idea of the f6 checkmate, but I don't see a way to force white to put this here, for example, or something there, or something here to block so that f6 g5. Okay, I've thought about it about this many times already, so I'm gonna assume there's nothing. Okay, and now rook h1, right? Rook h1 is killing. Congrats, guys. I think this is the highest rated puzzle we solved, 3300. Oh yeah, we reached 3000. Let's stop here. No, I have 3 more puzzles to go. Okay, I'm gonna show the lines in an analysis board, the lines we were discussing. Let's solve a more difficult puzzle. Yeah, let's go. I'm gonna show the lines, then I'm gonna go grab more coffee, and I'm gonna be ready for 3 more puzzles. Whoa. Now 3 more puzzles to keep the 3000 rating. Okay, this was... Actually, look at that. It was 3 moves, right? After king e1, yeah, we did 3 moves. Not very difficult once we've already solved them. Rook g1, g4, take, and rook h1, and puzzle solved. Okay, it seems like a very stupid puzzle, but all the things we had to calculate. Okay, I'm back. Okay, sorry about that. I guess it was the CPU. I don't know. I'm sorry. I was showing... Hey, Wasok, thanks for the follow. Yeah, I was showing why we needed the queen, to keep the queen on the e-file to... Gone again? No, I'm live. I think I'm live. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna wait for you to confirm that I'm back. Yeah, I'm back. Okay. This says I'm live now. Maybe this is calculating in the underground. I mean, I don't see the lines, but maybe this is using my CPU or something.